DGW and OGC have collaborated on 2 publications. Working Without Walls in 2004 to highlight the best workplace projects in government and identify the catalysts for change, and Working Beyond Walls in 2008, aiming at modernizing civil service ways of working. This new publication outlines a series of measures to ensure the civil service adapts to meet the challenges of the modern age and is set to radically enhance ways in which civil servants deliver high-quality services. Today, I'm going to interview Bridget Hardy and Paul Stansall from the OGC and discuss with them the purpose and impact of this book. Bridget and Paul, welcome. Bridget, could we start with you telling us what your role is in the OGC?
Well, thank you, Despina. I'd be glad to. My role in the OGC is to lead and manage the high-performing property programme. That means that I ensure the programme remains on track and that departments and OGC deliver its objectives according to the milestones and targets that are set within that programme.
And what are the actual objectives and drivers of the high-performance property programme?
So that programme is essentially a change programme. It's to change behaviour about embedding capability and best practices into property management in the UK government. The civil estate, which is our remit, is around 11 million square metres and it's about 65% offices. So the workplace is an important part of our estate. We have to make the estate more fit for purpose, more efficient, more effective and more sustainable. And those are the objectives of the High Performing Property Programme. And some might say most importantly we have to make savings of at least £1 billion per annum. But the effectiveness benefits are, in my view, as important. We have to use the estate in the way that delivers service to the citizens, in the way they expect it and that gives best value for money.
And what is the operational role of the OGC in delivering this programme?
Well, the OGC has the objective to help departments get the best value for money from their commercial relationships. It is a department of the Treasury. So within that role it actually covers estates, sustainability, project and programme management. But our focus is in the estates area. But the other areas of OGC's work contribute to that, and an understanding of best practice in procurement and understanding of best practice in project management are also essential to delivering an effective estates management function. And I think it's important that people understand that OGC doesn't actually manage or own the property. It is the department's responsibility to manage the property and to take decisions, and it's our responsibility to provide them with support and to challenge them and to monitor their performance.
Bridget, what initiatives have departments adopted to demonstrate that they manage and use their assets differently?
They've installed leadership and governance arrangements such as property champions and property asset management boards to take a strategic approach to the management of property. And they've improved the way they manage data and handle data, particularly the use of property benchmarking for offices, where they can now compare the efficiency and effectiveness of those offices with private sector comparators and others across the estate. And what this means is they can now take evidence-based decisions. As a result of understanding the estate better, we are finding that it is used more intensively. It is being used for a variety of purposes. There is an element of competition between the departments to show that they are actually performing better than they were. And out of that grow things like desk sharing, 8 to 10, 7 to 10 utilisation rates, home working initiatives, remote working, the use of telepresence and video conferencing. And all of this is driven out of a better understanding and better capability in managing the estate. And these books are part of raising awareness and improving the capability of estates managers.
How will that kind of mindset change affect the way that you procure and utilize the assets in government?
What I think it will mean is that there will be less procurement. I think we will have a smaller estate, but that it will be used more intensively. And it means a change in requirement for the estate. The space will have to be more flexible. It will have to be sustainable. And it will have to support the kind of work that the civil service will be doing in a collaborative sense. I think people will choose offices to work together and maybe take their individual work away because they now can and they now have the choice. A better understanding of what's core and what's flexible. The flexible surplus space will have to be disposed of. We shouldn't be running property that we don't genuinely need. And there'll be a focus on better facilities management for buildings that are used more intensively, and that's one of the strands of work we're going into at the moment, is understanding how we get good quality facilities management and good value out of those contracts. And that will give us a more service-based approach, I think, where ownership is less important and what's important is the accommodation service. And one of the important things I wanted to talk about a bit was the regional emphasis as well, that there is a move to take civil service work out of London and the South East and to make it possible for people to see their region as being somewhere in which they can develop their career. And within that, there then needs to be a regional strategic approach to how the property is provided and to understand what types of workplace will best support that more collaborative, interactive civil service work.
What was the objective of doing another publication?
Working Without Walls had had a lot of impact, I think. It had changed the way people thought about workplace and given a common language and a common understanding of what government wanted out of workplace. I think it was a real eye-opener. But what we needed to do was to move things on. Workplace is changing rapidly, as you know. Technology is being introduced that allow people to work much more flexibly. And so with Working Beyond Walls, we're taking work beyond the walls and trying to show how that's being done and what the vision for the future is. But also to provide people with guidance as to how to make the change. So an important part of the book is not just to highlight the vision and to celebrate the successes, but also to give people a practical working tool that they can use when confronted with a change programme.
Well, in your experience in the public sector, who appears to have benefited most from the book and the case studies?
I tell you what's happened is since the book's been written, the telephone rings more. So we get lots of inquiries, lots of interest that they've actually been done, and there are people there that can follow up. So the telephone rings, we talk to people, we arrange building visits. There's a lot of energy and enthusiasm created around these building visits, and we get people to talk to each other. Can we learn from what's been done? Can we do it better? And I think, all the time, good practice is getting better, I think, as a result. And so the benefits are really to new occupiers, new users, new organisations across government that want to come and learn. And I think if you look at Working Without Walls and Looking Beyond Walls at the case studies, you can see how they've come on. They've added to the value that's been placed there originally. And in the long term, of course, the public must gain from this, because if civil servants are working more happily and more effectively at their tasks, then that will definitely help to improve public services. So making savings, improving public services, these are some of the benefits, key benefits.
And what would be the longer-term expectations of the kind of legacy achievements highlighted in the book?
Where we saw a successful project, we'd seen within inside the organisation that the estates people were working with the IT people, and together they were working with the HR community. We feel we're introducing a new paradigm for the workplace in which there are more choices for people to decide where, when and how to work, balancing the demands of work with their daily lives.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, thank you both very much for all of your insights and your input.
You're welcome.